agenda. To approve it. Today's agenda.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the agenda dated Tuesday, April the 11th, 2023.
Support. Moved and supported to approve the agenda with any changes. Roll call, Ms.
Carol McIntosh,
Accept.
Joseph King,
Yes.
Linda Booth,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
Okay, 6-0.
Okay, agenda been approved. Move on to approving of the minutes.
I have the minutes for both meetings, when we had to, didn't have a quorum. Yes,
That's the meeting without.
yes.
I move that we accept the minutes for March 14th, 2023.
Would you like to do it?
Which is what the motion was about.
Have to, if you accept the amended motion, you'll have to first.
Yeah.
Linda Booth.
Yes.
Patrick Julian.
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
Okay, and that is again approved 6-0.
Now we must have a vote for such amendment then.
Yep, to adopt it.
Document. I don't think that I even accepted the second on the other one, but we move on. I think I could.
I think we covered it.
So we're going to adopt the amendment to the motion. Approve the minutes.
Support.
Roll call, Ms. Dell.
Ms. Carol McIntosh,
Yes.
Joseph King,
Yes.
Linda Booth,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
6-0.
Okay, the minutes been approved and adopted. So we should move on to the Ombudsman report, an update.
The majority of the cost that we are getting into that I'm getting into the ombudsperson office is about blight and trash removal now that the weather is changing. And but here I made some copies of some of the latest ones.
I want to look for the
And these are the most recent. Everybody got one? And as this would say, other complaint, and you see a brief description that a complaint was filed. Now, this is the one where we're going to discuss.
What, oh, you mean the first one?
The first one is the one that we was.
What we, Okay, this is one that's a little, tricky, but
We can skip that one and go to the other two if you like.
Yeah, you don't have
And then
to.
we come back, okay.
pass that around so everyone can look at that
Okay.
complaint.
Same
And I'll
thing.
we'll make up our mind.
Here you go, everyone, you got it.
We will.
Okay, and the other complaint is, as you can see, loud noise early in the morning. And of course, when he called the police is like, this is not a, emergency, situation. You have to call the non-emergency number, and of course, at 3 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you're not gonna get too much of a response. But because this also stated about the backyard, and pictures was provided in reference to the backyard, I was able to move this complaint to a blight complaint also. So blight is supposed to go out, check out the property, and probably issue a citation on the property. So that will be one of the first steps in the complaint. So I've already made that connection with blight on this complaint. The second complaint is,
Before you move to that.
Yes, sir.
You talked to the police department?
no, I didn't talk to the police department. This is what the complainant stated, that when they called, of course,
It's a
called 911,
non-emergency.
that they said it's a non-emergency. So they not even taking the complaint. You call and saying somebody's making loud noise in the morning, they're like, that's not an emergency.
Well, and that might be something that needs to be talking to, because 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sleeping, I gotta go to work. It's an emergency for me,
Right.
and that shouldn't be, they should have another answer for that. I'm not coming out because we're not an emergency. They woke me up and I started shooting at everybody.
Make sure it's down.
You turn it to emergency, you can't. We need to address that. We don't want something getting into something else, and they just, people
Okay.
not like that anymore, so. We
I'll
might
make
want to go
contact.
to the police department.
Okay. And the other, again, is a blight complaint, and said that, this gentleman said that his landlord gave him a ticket from blight, and, in reference to his shopping cart and some other things that was in his yard, and he wanted to get the ticket waived. He had spoken to blight before he contacted the ombudsperson's office, and I also spoke with blight, and they told him to let the ticket, come to expire, and then they can make a decision on whether they will dismiss the claim or not. So, going to
So
default,
no.
what's the word?
So none of these people had a name,
Yes.
address.
The only reason
What's the address here?
Oh, yes, sir. I got all of that. I just
Yeah.
didn't put the,
I see the address,
I'll
yeah.
see the address.
but I don't see the resident's name.
Oh,
The
okay.
address is here,
I thought
but do we need to have the
We-
resident
No.
address?
we agreed, I thought at
Name?
one point that we don't put their name.
Right, because
Right.
if this
For
gets to,
confidentiality.
Right.
now this is, please, this is my first one putting together. If I'm missing
Right.
anything that should be here,
But we agreed that initially we would not give out people's personal information, like their names and all that. If we want them, but this might,
Yeah, well,
Yes,
it's a
somebody-
public, this is a public meeting.
So we can record it anyway, so.
Right.
I can accept that.
but yes, I of course I have them,
Right.
but I just didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, because I see the
Just
address,
question
the
the-
name
Oh,
don't.
no,
we
no,
don't
no, I'm
need
just
the
saying, if
name.
I'm, please, let me
We
know,
don't need
'cause
the
name.
this is
Yeah,
my first
but
report.
here's one thing that I had, and I don't know whether it's a misprint or what. Had the landlord issue a ticket, or the
Right.
blight issue ticket.
Blight, Blight
Yeah,
issued the
something.
ticket in the property owner's name. So the landlord gave the tenant the ticket,
Okay.
yes,
Oh, that blight did, okay.
right. But at the time, he wasn't, I don't think the tenant was home. So the landlord gave him the ticket from Blight.
Okay.
Okay.
When they call, I basically try to word exactly what they say, of course correcting grammar, but,
Right.
detail, because they'll call back, or they may have some questions, or
Mhm.
even run into one of you all, and I say, oh yeah,
This
so
is what we're saying.
I try to put exactly what they say, and this is in the database, so that's so.
I'm surprised you didn't go down to the courthouse and fight it.
Well, he told him to wait until it's in default.
Yeah, get so many days. have a final solution to this? Do we talk back to these people and tell them what else?
Yes, sir,
What
I
they
was,
should do?
yeah, I've responded with each person, with this, well, yes, I responded to each person, of course, sending blight to the neighbor's property. And with the blight complaint, I called him back and I told him that, blight stated that wait till the ticket is in default, and then you can come, they'll set a hearing date, and then you can come and contest it then. I've got back with each and every one of them, yes, sir.
Did they give him so many days to have, I see the tenant had surgery.
Right.
Did they give him so many days
They
to
actually
clean it up?
It's an expiration on the no,
No.
irregardless of with them if he clean it up or not, he has the ticket right
Okay.
now. So in the event when it goes into default, if he cleans it up, I'm sure they probably will
Waive it.
waive the ticket.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that it really is not in our hands because it's still out there. It needs to be addressed with the blight department because they have a process, and so he's waiting on the default. And if we try and take some kind of action, then we are putting the cart before the horse.
No, and I wasn't getting into action. When somebody files a complaint, I want to make sure that we let them know what, it's not in our hand, you got to go here somewhere
That was
else.
handled.
Oh, yes, I give them
We
feedback.
had to relay that information.
Yes.
The third one here, Paul.
Paul?
We'll move on to Paul, come back and probably take a break there. But we'll come back to this complaint, because we don't want, it's gonna be like a whole session.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll discuss that. Yeah.
Okay, and the next,
Okay, we have, I'm sorry, you got something else?
yeah, I don't know, well, you've had the schedule, but the schedule today was amended for the budget hearings. And the office of the ombudsperson is scheduled to go tomorrow from 7 o'clock to 7:30.
In the morning,
No, afternoon.
or afternoon,
I
tomorrow?
mean evening, tomorrow evening, yes, sir.
I could be there.
I'll be there. Tomorrow?
That's in the dome?
Yes. And this is what has come from, the finance department of the proposed budget for the ombudsperson's office, without in any detail, and the increase in stuff is of course to new hiring, because we got, like 3 that we know we need to hire, and then the other positions that was spoken on.
And also the other increases because of, the new pensions that they put in place because the city wasn't paying into the pension. They've upped the budget. If you look at the line item, with the 370,056, the budget for the ombudsman is still at 250.
Right.
That extra 170 is just to cover the pension.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
You want me to mute the audio?
Yeah, we'll get back to it in a few minutes. Let us get through.
Did everybody get a copy?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, and you said the 2 of you would be there, okay, I'll be there.
And also the city has an acting CFO. Me and Mr. King saw her in action yesterday evening. So, yeah, they finally got somebody to replace the old CFO, but, you know, she's acting right now.
Sound like the Flint schools and the city need the CFO. Wow.
No, she's been there 3 months.
Has it been 3
Well,
months?
leaving here quick.
6 months, she said.
3 months.
Did she say 6 months?
I thought she said she'd been there 2 weeks.
No, she's
It's a month.
been there, she said 3 months, I believe.
And she's the intern.
Well, she was,
Acting, she said.
she's an actor now, but my feeling she might have been brought in before, knowing that,
The other person was gonna
was
leave.
leaving and how about unusual to bring someone in 3 months into that, in that 3 months and jump ahead of someone else unless something was working. That's my feeling. I'm gonna look at this a little more. I gotta break this down. Something I'm seeing right here.
Is it
Something, I see numbers, but they're not making sense.
Let's see, and then think about it, they don't even have, when we went to the budget, when we saw the budget from the clerk's office, the clerk put out a detailed budget with a line graph. You could clearly see above the line graph, it mentioned the 170 was for pension, but if you look,
Here, you can't.
if you look at here, it mentions nothing.
And this is
see.
what I
About
got from
pension.
finance. But that was in the agenda, wasn't it? Was it that printed in
No,
that agenda?
no, that was
Miss,
what I had.
you
And
said
I
our
have
old budget, you had a copy of that?
I have the budget for the mayor's budget. I don't have it with me, so it must be out of the car.
This look like it's just jotted down.
Yeah,
I see expenses twice and I see
Yeah, it looks
benefits.
like they
I see
duplicated,
salary twice.
they duplicated some
It's like they done
things.
duplicated something here.
And then added them up and totaled it up there, and it looked like this budget is
Yeah,
below
they
two hundred
don't
fifty
round off
thousand.
numbers, they don't round off.
Yeah. but
They're
it's
all
like we don't-
rounded off.
Now this is, did you get a copy of this? This is,
Yeah, this budget is less than
and
two
I
hundred
gave
fifty.
you all a copy of this?
It's not
Oh,
like
no,
the budget.
you got enough, this your last copy?
That's my last,
This look like
cause I had to go get
something
them printed, cause.
No, but
my-
I'll wait till you make copies.
Okay, I'll get some more copies, cause I had to go outside.
Because the last budget was perfect, we just need to add about 3 lines to it.
Okay,
The, office space is about $15.99 per square foot in the city of Flint.
But this look like we are less than 250,000 in
And
the
then you
budget.
needed to add on for, a private investigator and an attorney,
And then don't forget the paralegal
and the paralegal.
and the stenographer.
Okay, hold on.
Do
I
we
thought
have
we
an
put that on there.
investigator right now? Do we have an investigative person?
You don't have anybody right now.
No,
Okay.
And then that's not
stenographer,
also,
investigator,
You gotta
attorney,
have an investigator,
yeah, and
and
a,
a paralegal.
paralegal.
paralegal, and they work together.
Okay, and Miss Shasta, you gonna give me a copy of that when you get a chance? Okay, and then one more time, one last time.
One more again.
One last time. Miss Linda phone number.
Okay. It is 810-964-3864.
Whose number is it?
You have
Oh,
Cindy's memo.
Okay.
You have a copy of it. Make sure these members get another copy of the bylaws for the board that will proceed.
Like a personal business budget.
Because
yeah.
this London is actually,
In default.
and you're right.
So tomorrow they're gonna meet with.
Did she respond to me?
No, I called her, I left a message, I also called her to get in contact with, and I haven't heard her
But she
respond.
been tired of, we gonna still, cause we had bust that budget all the way down pretty good. We only needed to add like a few of these items, so that's why I'm kinda stalking her, cause we had did all the heavy lifting as it
That's got a problem with that.
straight to the voicemail.
Okay,
And
let's
see,
see.
that's the problem, Kate.
This-
No communication.
Miss Linda, hi, this is Carol McIntosh from the Ethics and Accountability Board. I was wondering if you could give me a call back at this number, because I wanted to jot down some of those notes, or maybe get a copy of some of those notes that you took from our last meeting. There was some good information, and we'd like to utilize it if you don't mind. So if you give me a call back at this number, I really appreciate it. All right, thank you, bye. Yeah, she hired to catch up with that.
And they got unknown expense here twice. I mean, it's just
Yeah, this ain't
not
no
clear.
real budget. This ain't no real budget.
It's just not clear.
Well,
I wouldn't pass this
What
another
it-
time.
what it looked like to me is they threw something out there
Let's
thinking
do
that we're
something
not
out
smart
there.
enough to read it.
They must think we crazy
I mean,
or dumb.
this is this budget is less than
This
$250,000.
elementary is something you do in the high school.
And that, don't read that number 370.
I don't wanna get this started.
That's not what's in here.
Lord have mercy. We can't fake everything.
Cause that's not, I'm being honest with you, this is not what I saw in the proposed mayor's budget. The proposed mayor's budget literally had it all line item with the line graph in blue what the expense was. The expense was $250. That's where it stopped at, and the additional highlighted in gold, it clearly said pension. Because I was like, well, what is this for? It's because now all departments have to pay into
The
the
pension.
pension because they weren't paying into it
Before.
before. That's why it went into
And that's
default.
supposed to be separate expense.
Yeah, and it's a separate expense. So
Right.
that's when I saw that. But like you said, when you look at this, it says total operations is $370. Yeah, that's how much it was, but you could clearly see what was pension and what was supposed to have been wages, expenses, but they did not break down they didn't break it down like Mr. King. We had asked for a full breakdown. They didn't have a breakdown in the mayor's budget. They just had Office of Ombudsman, expenses, wages, this, that, and the other. They didn't provide a full breakdown of this is how much this is gonna be, this, that, and the other.
Cause they both don't know.
If you take this budget, if you take what I'm looking at, and you start looking at where it's coming from and where it's gonna be spent, this budget is probably around 150, 175,000, okay? You take these other numbers out, these numbers don't mean anything. These numbers not even, these numbers probably been moved to some other department expenses. These are no expenses that we use here. And you look like the salary and wage, fringe benefits, that duplicate twice. That $111,000 is the real one. That $240 doesn't mean, you can scratch that, it's not saying anything.
So what professional service do we have for 8,000?
That's the, I do know that answer. That's the annual convention and travel expenses and everything. Cause
For
we had
who?
to move, the whole office was supposed to
For
go.
us, for training.
For training, yeah.
Okay.
Whereas now we're not showing,
How much is our stenographer? Do we have an idea of how much he is gonna run us, the stenographer for?
I think a stenographer runs about $50. I think it runs about $50 an hour.
So they'll just be at the meetings. That's,
Yeah.
So is this guy not a stenographer, he's just a video guy? Is there a major difference? What's the difference in the two? I mean,
So with the stenographer takes shorthand.
okay,
and
so
so
they take the shorthand
They
and have.
take the shorthand, but it's also, they'll also give us, we'll have it in paper as well as have it recorded. So if any,
So is this a secretary really?
no, not necessarily, no.
Okay,
So
so
the-
we're having a secretary as well?
Yeah,
I'm just
so
making sure.
the
Okay.
stenographer would, like the conversations that we're having now, the stenographer's taking shorthand
Shorthand, okay,
and making
gotcha.
sure that we have a full written record
of
of
conversation.
a conversation of the meeting, and that would be perfect.
I
That would
got
be
you.
less for the secretary to do, to take minutes. All they would have to do is just take what the stenographer did, dedact from it what needs to be dedacted, and then there you go, there go the minutes. And that way
I got you.
and we keep a paper trail.
No, I got you, I'm just making sure I got an understanding of what everybody's role is. Because if we're gonna include this in the budget, then we have to be able to defend why we need that.
Right.
And we probably gonna have to look at that something that any other municipality uses, that's gonna make a difference. If there's no other.
We ain't having that many meetings either though. It ain't like we're
Yeah.
just having a ton of meetings.
And we get to the point now where they're all recorded, so.
True.
You can always go back, so that's something.
So that's why I'm questioning this tonight. That's why I wanted to know too, because I would think, in all honesty, let's be honest, if I was looking at a budget and you told me you had a guy that's videoing it, you got video and audio, and then you tell me you have a secretary, and then you're gonna tell me you need a stenographer too?
Yeah, we,
Come on.
But
Yeah,
when this is where the stenographer would come into place, when we have to go into closed session. That's where, so if we know that we're gonna have to go into a closed session, and we know that, we'll have to close it out, there'll be a written record of what's going on here. But as far as videotaping and everything else, that's the only reason why I had thought about a stenographer, was because sometimes we would have to go into closed session.
Okay, I understand all that. That's good. So but
But I think we could do that ahead of time. Like
and
if
it
we,
seems like we could just get a secretary to take shorthand instead of hiring two.
well, that's true too.
but, and you have to think about how that's been handled, instead of the council's in closed session all the time. Yes, you're the secretary. I'm at the MTA board, we go into closed session
I
all
mean,
the time.
and the school
So
board, I mean,
that-
just,
yeah, that's
I would say
my
get a
opinion.
secretary
think
with
we
that
might-
skill.
Okay.
Cause I mean, we already struggling to get our budget. I don't think we're gonna get no bunch of luxuries now.
Yeah, and we
No,
have
we
to
are
be
not gonna
careful
get a lot
that
of
we
luxury.
have to be careful, we ask for things that we really need.
That's what I'm saying.
Not just because we want it. And that's gonna, when the city that's already on the budget, and you asking for, a Rolls Royce when all we need was Impala. You know, you have to be,
A little red wagon.
Like I say, it ain't the prime. You just going out to dinner.
McDonald's has that.
Oh, no, that's right.
Yeah. So we will get back in there. I would sit down with this, 'cause, and we need to work on this. I don't see what I'm thinking of saying, what they're saying, making them thinkers in there. I think we are getting less than the 250. And I'm not saying anything in there that we already have. I don't say anything.
I mean,
about
this
the
don't
funding.
say nothing really. This don't say
But I was
nothing.
just gonna say, the budget that was presented, I can get a copy of that from the clerk, but this is actually what finance
Yeah,
said
because,
to me, so I'll ask.
Yeah,
Ms.
get a
Karina.
copy of that. And then don't forget that copy of the one we ours from last year.
but what
I like to use that for
Oh,
our
yeah, I'll
template.
get that, I'll get
Because
that.
it was precise, it was,
but here's the other thing. I know we have a surplus. It's money we haven't spent. I'm not saying it, I didn't see it in there.
That,
And that is not to be taken out. That still goes and has to be in our Ombudsman. We should
This
see
is-
that.
was the surplus from the, but I'll make sure, cause I gave everybody a copy, but I'll make some more copies. And that was the surplus.
171,000.
That's where you're coming up with that. Okay, now it's making sense. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So they, yeah, so we will,
let me see.
So
we'll
they
make
wanna
sure
take-
we not sleep at the, we not,
So they wanna take our surplus, add a little bit to it to make it the 250, when in actuality, we need our 250 and the 171, which is our surplus, which would take us up to which would take us up to 371,000. And that's not even including the pension.
That doesn't include the pension?
No, I wouldn't think so, because I know the pension is separate.
Well,
Okay.
they manipulate numbers. We would deal with, we'll speak on that tomorrow.
And I make sure to have,
One thing we know, we haven't used a lot of money
No,
Right.
Yeah, because of the
at all.
pandemic.
Just, the staff
And the staff.
basically and a few, supplies.
right, and as you stated, because of the
No
pandemic,
building, no
we were working from
nothing.
home.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there. It should be.
Anything else you have reported, Mr.?
No, sir, that's it.
Okay. I need a motion to accept the ombudsman report.
I put a motion on the floor to accept the ombudsman's report for April 11 of 2023.
Second.
Okay, and motion and second to accept the ombudsman report. Roll call, Ms. Bell?
Carol McIntosh,
Yes.
Joseph King,
Yes.
Linda Booth,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
6-0.
0.
I have a question, because I did read, and you all stated that I'm supposed to provide a monthly report or weekly each time we meet.
Each month, just
Monthly would
Monthly.
So I still have some to bring forward from the months that, if you understand what I'm saying, I still have some more I probably can present some more on next week's meeting.
well, you can present, if
Look,
you have it in a meeting.
I was just
Well,
gonna
you
say,
gonna
give
have
them all
report.
to, yeah, you can, cause you can, sorry, Mr.
Go ahead.
You can give us what you have at the meeting, I would think, because, and then whatever, information you wanna fill us in on, we can go along with you while we're in the meeting, and then that'll give us a chance to go home, look it over. We come back to the next meeting, we may have questions about what you've given us, and then you might have something new for us.
Okay.
So that'll give us an open discussion to overlap, and that should cover all our complaints or whatever
Okay,
information.
okay.
And to make it a lot easier for you, we don't need,
You don't need this.
well, if you investigated and you came up with, this we need to know what the conclusion was. Is there nothing that we, for the board, the one you have up here that we're gonna close session is something that the board have, but the rest of it, we don't need I don't need a detail, I don't think.
Okay. Just
You just say,
the amount
well,
of,
we had these complaints, this is what the complaint was, and this is what the decision was.
okay,
Now, the ones that we gotta act on, and that's what we need, and this one here, I don't know what we should act on, what we come to. But this is one we're gonna go into closed session on, and we will see how we handle that. I would need a motion to go into closed session.
Are you doing that today?
We'll do it now.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss, at hand information and complaints. The time is 6:20, today is April 11th.
Second.
Moving second to go into closed session. Ms. Bell?
Okay.
Carol McIntosh,
Yes.
Joseph King,
Yes.
Linda Booth,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
Also passed 6-0.
Okay, Paul.
Ready? And one. Your splash is live.
Okay, we're back into the regular session. The next top on the agenda was discussion. No, I'm sorry. I need a motion to accept suggestion we had in closed meeting on closed session on
The complaint.
the complaint. Yeah, I need a motion.
I move that in regards to complaint number 143409293, that no action be taken, and that we inform the individual that they must seek legal services in regards to this.
Support.
Moved and supported. Roll call, Ms.
Ms. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Julian?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
That's 6-0.
Okay. Second, the next thing, we have time and date for them buzz interview. We have discussed that already. And we have set that time and date for next Wednesday, 26th of April, at our regular meeting time.
And human resources need to be notified so they can.
Oh, I got a meeting
You
with
got it. Okay.
Ms. Smith in the morning.
Okay, all right.
And where will
He's
the
gonna make,
interview be conducted?
sorry,
Where will the interview be conducted?
Oh,
We
yeah,
will.
you know, we were talking
we
about
will.
If I look this one.
all because the
So
news
we-
meetings
well-
don't want to come.
Me?
It's open.
Well, we
meeting.
can do it, if nobody meets in the dome on Wednesdays.
Okay.
Yes, they
So-
do.
So I'm.
Did you say yes, they do, Ms.
The,
Council.
council meeting,
Yeah, they got a lineup.
Every other Wednesday.
and
Yeah.
the other, okay,
Yeah,
let me
right
see.
away.
The schedule was on the
No, they
bulletin
meet-
board.
They would meet next week, next Wednesday, council would meet.
And that's the 26th.
No, next Wednesday
No.
is the 19th.
Yeah, week after that.
Got you. Very good. Okay, so I'll get the dome
Yeah,
reserved.
we
Okay.
need the dome for
Okay.
the
Yeah.
26th.
Next thing we have on that budget review, and what I'm gonna suggest, I guess me and Mr. Harris, we'll be down here tomorrow, and we'll do some more discussion, we'll have more detail, what's going on with this budget, and what these numbers mean at the next meeting.
Oh, and I also, I went looking for a couple of buildings, commercial buildings as well. I found a couple of properties. I did share a couple of the addresses from Mr. King that are up, actually for sale. And one building I showed Mr. King is the old Hope Network building on Corona Road. It's up for sale. It's 4,500 square feet. It has 2 kitchens. I don't know why they need kitchens for it, but it has 2 kitchens. It has 8 offices, and it has a reception area with 2 receptionist desks, and it says they have an extremely large meeting room. Now, the asking price has been on there for over 50 days. So at that point, price can go down. They're asking $300,000 for the building. But I think we could possibly negotiate it a little bit lower than that. And so I had suggested to Mr. King, I said, you know, when we get ready to come up for our budgetary meetings, that when we do that, include renovations, renovating the building, making it suit for, you know, for our needs. Human relations can also meet there as well. And, you know, I had suggested, I told Mr. King, I said, well, what we could probably ask for is, we could probably ask for like a budget like $1 million or $1.5 million, but have it broken up over a 3 or 4 year time period, which means
To make a mortgage.
yeah, to make it a mortgage, which means it would make it, you know, we could have like maybe $500,000 additional to the 250 each year to do what we need to do, and by that time, we would have figured out how much maintenance is gonna cost, upkeep is gonna cost, and I think if we own the building, it'd be a whole lot cheaper than just outright renting it.
Now, we tried that, they blocked that, but we'll see how it
Well,
go this year.
and the reason, knowing who you got on the council and administration, is we gotta have a good reason. One reason is people do not wanna come downtown to City Hall
We said that last time.
to see Ombudsman. Number one, we do not have a dedicated line.
That's,
We ain't got to delegate nothing.
We got a line that we telling people to call Ombudsman. But you wanna know what? I got called by HR and that number shows up. I got a call from, DPW. That number shows up.
So we
Same
ain't got
number
a
we're
real
giving people
number.
for Ombudsman.
That's
So
a shame.
you have no way of letting, and
So
I
basically, they getting all your cars and everything.
So you saying that
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
the 2020 comes up? That phone number?
The number that you got the number we gave out for, and I talked to Mr. Smith about it, I wanna know how somebody from his office calling for the ombudsman office. And he said he would check, but I got a call the other day from, the acting, head of DPW, and he called me Friday, and that was the same number. So telling people to call in, and I know I've called that number, and I gotta go to the switchboard, and and it's hard to get through for the public. So that might be why we're not getting the kind of complaints and stuff that. And we gotta do a better job of marketing ourselves.
Yeah, we
Now,
just looking at that.
One thing I have is we probably need to, some of us, if we got time, to go out to some of these, community meetings. And we need to let the public know, this board, as a board, have question and answer what we can do and what we can't do while we're here. And what the ombudsman office is, we gotta get out there and let the public know. I reckon we had That's it, we're gonna be a working board, we're gonna defend this charter.
Sorry, you guys went a little over. My microphones only last for 2 hours.
Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta go to work in the morning. Mr. King
That's
retired,
we
see.
don't-
You
Well,
can
we
have
don't-
my little flyer.
That's why I made the recommendations for the
We
actions
went and
that
talked
we,
to them
that we
when
can
first
eventually,
started, you know, to get
and I
an
think that would be
idea
a
of
good
what it
idea.
was now.
Whatever
What the
action,
board's
whatever
doing.
actions,
That
whatever
was my
disciplinary actions we come up for
Detroit is-
Mr. Mays and Mr. Murphy and also the council as a
Yeah,
whole,
that was my aunt.
I think it would be good we present them on
Worked
May
on
9th.
that when she
And
was
let them
working.
know,
Well,
we're here not only to put this, but these are the recommendations as the whole board. And we just, and we read it to them.
okay, we put our own agenda together.
Yeah.
Right.
What was your name again?
Micah Page.
It's nice to meet you.
You got that too.
Mr. Bush, do you have an idea on how we should be an attorney with, off the record?
We got a lot of stuff.
Your video is live.
It's really nice.
It's all-
Back on the record, then.
Oh, we gotta get it back up. I won't put you on the spot, but how would,
You know, they got their own phone number.
you think we should prevent something like that to?
I thought they had their own.
What is the question? You can
I'll
certainly
say that.
ask me
Yeah,
the
I got
question.
phone.
Well, what, are you aware what happened at the council?
Facebook page.
I saw the video. I couldn't see.
Because you saw his video.
I could not see what happened after somebody left the stage.
Well, I'm asking about if this board action, what you say, admonishment, a letter?
I can tell you, you have the legal authority to do the things that the charter allows, but it's not my position to tell you what to do or
Well,
what
I
to
would
withhold.
condemn, that's right.
Yeah,
Not,
I mean,
not,
certainly-
apologize off the record.
yeah. Well, certainly you've seen where the police are at the meeting. There have been things that have happened before,
They just get-
enforcement of ordinances, and there's, you know, someone can make a police report, there's a number of options, but, you guys can independently do what you desire in compliance with the charter.
Okay.
And if you wanna submit a written, request for an opinion, if you could have Shax to email me whatever you want, then I can address it
That's,
formally.
that's what I was ready to get at, you gave me an idea before that, I let me next speak.
Wow, I went blank that quick. You're gonna have him, you're gonna write a letter of opinion to him. We can do something about it. We're gonna go before the city council. Oh, we need to send a letter to whoever is over the police department. If all these illegalities are taking place in front of the police, first of all, what we paying them to be there for if you're gonna sit up there and watch all this illegal stuff go on? We could save a little money and let them stay on across the street over there.
And let
If
them
they-
patrol the street.
Right, because if we got city council people coming off the stage, rushing up on other city council people,
That's
and
good.
you standing back, and regular citizens gotta get between them so they don't brawl, then what good, we just want a blue suit on the scene? What's the point?
That's another
Nothing
thing.
happened till the gloves thrown.
Well, yeah, and
I mean,
There's no salt, there's no salt till the gloves.
well, the police can stand between you and say, if y'all do anything, I'm gonna take somebody to jail. The police can warn you. The police pull innocent people over that ain't doing nothing all the time and blow them away from here. So don't tell me they can't stand between two people that's arguing in a public meeting being
And
rude
saying
and
if
disrespectful.
if you reaching and any portion of your body touches me, you off to jail.
Oh, yeah.
let's look at.
Any portion of your body touch me and you done ran up on me,
It's gonna be
you
the
off to the
salt.
hospital.
In all fairness, let's look at
Rolling
it,
up
let's
on
look
me.
at it, let's look at it like this. If you got an officer there, you got an
And I ain't
officer
gonna
there
use my hand.
who not,
You gonna have to kill me because I'm gonna throw down.
if you got an officer that not expecting something to happen, he crossed the room, and all of a sudden something happened across there.
So serious.
But
He got it.
but this is what gets me. The moment he stood up, the officer should have been moving. The moment he
That's
stood
right,
up.
'cause it's called
the off-
intervention.
Right.
It's called intervention.
Actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. The moment the interaction started at 1 hour and 25 minutes, that officer should have moved closer to the city clerk and the city attorney.
At least been on his feet.
At
ready
least
for
been on his
action.
feet ready for action. That way,
Yeah.
when he stood up and walked down those stairs, the officer said, Mr. Murphy, I need you to go back up those stairs
Sit
and
down.
sit back down. And that's not what happened.
'Cause Cause I done
they
seen
need
the
to be held
po.
accountable
Cause
for
I done
that too.
seen somebody try to hit somebody in the po catch their hand in mid air before they knew it. They in the back of the car. They ain't get a lick.
Well, I can go back and have him for council meeting. But the same thing happened when Mr. Murphy got up after they adjourned and walked right up to the same person while they still there and did that. And it ain't the first time no thing. I seen it in other council with Maurice. And I seen it with Montez. Him and that. So these things are not something that haven't happened with the same police officer there. Is that it never went that far.
The whole side is painted.
So, I mean, he's not there to look at all 9 councils to make sure that we can leave them up there.
He there to look at one. Cause they throw Mr. Mays out all the time.
Yeah, but, and he throw, most time he throw his own stuff out.
Well, my point is this: ain't nobody gotta beg you to get up there and go get Mr. Mays. He marches right on up here.
But the problem is we have to protect the charter. And if there's a charter violation,
Can I make a motion that we protect the charter from now on?
Second.
right, that way. I
That's what
don't
we
leave it
gonna
do that,
do.
and that's what I'm saying,
This
start
is
now.
2023. We done been through a lot. I've been here
Yeah.
since the beginning.
And
I'm tired. I'm really tired.
that's what I want the
With
board to
this
do.
whole setup.
I
We
am
have to
too.
hear the same stuff every time we
Every-
meet.
Yeah,
Every time we meet.
I
Every
myself,
6
I'm
months.
tired of it as well. Going forward, you know what?
We're gonna
Take this foot and put it in somebody's behind and keep it there.
Everybody act like I'm some boy.
If the board, if that's what the board wanna do, that's what we're gonna do.
I'm ready to do
I
it.
don't wanna be walking up as the chief look around and I ain't got no soldier behind me.
Oh, no, you got, I'll be
Now, everybody talk is cheap,
I'm
but
I'll be
I'm gonna
right
stand up,
I'll be
I'm
there.
gonna be marching up there, and then I look back here, and
Let
ain't
me
ain't
say this.
nobody back here, so
It-
if we
it-
gonna step out there, let's
I'm
step out.
behind you. Don't you ain't bring me up here for no I have a dream speech. I ain't
I know you gonna fight.
come for that now.
Look, you came for
I'm
battle.
coming for the action. I ain't coming for no I have a dream speech, cause we done heard that before.
I make a
will
motion
say-
that this meeting be adjourned.
Second.
And we gonna follow up on what we said.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah, we're gonna meet. We're gonna address them. You as a board. I made a motion.
You can't in a second.
Okay.
And still
Oh,
talking.
the vote-
Shit, that was to
motion
shut
been-
everybody
the
else up.
meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Everybody say aye.
I just want it clear. We gonna follow